Let's come back together, Grant, and do a little bit of sharing. What we're actually doing is looking at the evidence of what we saw, and then, so what's our evidence that we gathered about our students in the teaching that we saw? And we're also working over here in that we're looking at what the teacher did and what we thought was powerful about it, and reflecting on that for our own practice. Let's do the students first. I know that there was a really good discussion down here. Do you want to share, Lisa, what you were saying?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask because I don't think I can.
Yes, you
remember. We were just talking about reciprocal teaching and just the concern that, you know, that we might have spent a long time developing the process and teaching the students the skills, and you think they're ready for independence, but then when you just step back that step, they're not. And so then we looked at, we're just talking about reflecting on practice. Are the kids able to reflect on their practice? And they are, but it's the level of reflection. Is it at a superficial level? What are they reflecting on? And unless we get the deeper reflection, that's the indication that they're ready for independence. And so listening to what the kids or the students actually say about the process and their understanding of it actually links back to the level of support that they need. So that's what we need to listen for.
Yeah.
But then that also helps us to go, right, well, this is the thing that I'm going to teach for now at a deeper level. So I know they know the process, but we want to deepen the understanding. So that's sort of what we were talking about.
And it's not a tick the box. Within a box, there are depths and levels of understanding that we're looking for. Thanks, Lisa. What were some of the other things? I know, Margaret, you had an interesting conversation there about students who do need reciprocal teaching because of their learning need that we've identified. And Margaret and Jill were talking about, but for some students, perhaps a literacy circle and discussion is what they need. And the fact that we are differentiating our teaching through the instructional process and an approach that we choose. What other things did you talk about that we actually saw students doing, the evidence? Come on, be brave. If we look at the list there, what did the students do? One of the things we noted was each student read independently. In terms of good practice, in terms of what we know about comprehension, we know that daily independent reading is an important and powerful part of our program. And we said we saw students doing that. We saw students actually predict and add to predictions. We actually saw students question, which gives us information. And if we go back to Lisa's point, the question that they generated gives us an indication of the level of their understanding, the nature of that question, and does it go to key information or peripheral information? The type of question they ask, as well as the frequency of question that they ask, gives us different levels of understanding about that student. We also identified students who were able to answer questions. Gives us an indication of their understanding during the reading. Did anyone talk about the summarising that we saw? I know because it was some time ago it's a bit hard. Anyone talk about that bit? At the time we did talk about whether summarising was something that this group of students, and we identified some of the individuals within it, was it really a strong thing for them, or was it something that there needed to be further learning around? Okay, if we look at the role of the teacher and the teaching practice, what was your discussion around that? Did you see anything powerful that you felt was effective? That was, if we ask ourselves, what do we expect to see in quality practice? What is effective and why? Did we see anything that we felt was effective in terms of analysing the teacher practice? Yes.
And listening more than actually speaking.
Yeah. She listened a lot. And what was the evidence? We saw her listening, but what was evidence of and there is actually some proof and evidence that she listened, because she did something.
She was actually paraphrasing. She was actually feeding back to them what they'd said to her.
Yeah, she paraphrased back to them what they'd said. Also, there were a couple of times the students gave an answer and she felt it wasn't full enough, so she prompted them to go a little deeper. Yeah. Or their summary wasn't complete, so she prompted them to complete that summary. So really she was monitoring and teaching at the same time from what she observed on the spot. She knew what she was looking for and she had a teaching purpose. She actually was able to push the students further in their application of the learning. I also think in doing that, I read that as she had high expectations for the students. She didn't just say, oh, well, they gave an answer, that will be okay. But that answer could have shown deeper understanding. So she pushed them in that way and had high expectations for them. Yes, Margaret. No.
It's a bit like an aha moment. She actually had the end in mind.
Yes.
Started with. Some people just do reading as another like learning activity, whereas
Yes.
she already had the
Yeah.
end in mind. She knew what she wanted to get from them.
Yeah.
And it might be very
No, Margaret.
obvious to say that.
No, Margaret, that's an important point. It's not that, oh, we do reciprocal teaching so we tick the box, but do we do it well? Do we do it in a way that's effective? And you said she started with the end in mind. She knew what her teaching purpose was. She knew the students and she knew what she wanted to teach them and give them opportunity to develop in that session. It's an important point. Thank you. Yes.
And also knowing the text really well beforehand.
So that she could teach in that very explicit way. Yeah. Other things?
I was just thinking, I'm looking at the learning path. If you're using reciprocal teaching as one of your strategies, how in 4 weeks it wouldn't change drastically the next time you revisit it. Like there may be subtle changes to it, but because of, as we're saying, with that level of care that you need to go deeper, you wouldn't redo it. You would just be adjusting that learning log. Maybe. I mean, I'm just sort of thinking.
Yeah, but I think the power there would be in the discussion that you have, and it links back to what Lisa was saying, the discussion that you have around what you observe students doing and checking that, could we have taken it further? Could it be built on? Is there a different way of doing it? My analysis of where I felt the students went well and what they did might be different to your analysis. So the power to me there would be in the discussion and the professional dialogue and the collaboration around it. Yeah. Any other points there? We talked about the teacher remaining in the group and how we felt that added, because she was able to monitor and it gave her information for her planning and teaching coming up, and also on the spot she was able to monitor and build on student learning. Yeah. Okay, she was also willing to step back and give the students a voice. Yeah. A couple of the challenges and the questions that we might have. In the other group, the issue was raised that, as I said earlier, did the teacher talk over the students in 1 or 2 points? And also remember the student, there was one quite outstanding student, and the question is raised, should that student have been in that group? If we look at what would he know now that he didn't know before? What could he do that he couldn't do before? There could be a question over and a discussion around, should that student have been in that group? Was it effective and support his continued learning? And remember the other child who didn't say anything or participate at any level. So we have no evidence about that student. But our question in terms of looking at through the lens of our teaching practice was, should that student have been in the group? Was the level of challenge too high for him?